You thought the curse was behind you, didn't you? You believed that just knowing the truth would be enough to break it. But my child, revelation without transformation is like light that never touches the soil. It illuminates, but it doesn't grow anything. The prophecy you live is not only about what you know, but about what you repeatedly choose when no one is watching. So I must ask you again, what prophecy are you still nurturing in secret? Let me show you what you don't want to see. The cycle didn't stop. It only shape-shifted. It became spiritual now, not just psychological. You pray, but your prayers still carry the sound of fear. You move forward, but always looking over your shoulder. You say God has a plan, but you still act like it all depends on your own effort. That is not faith. That is inherited anxiety. You have confused trauma management with transformation. You see, a self-fulfilling prophecy can wear the mask of righteousness. It can sound like wisdom. It can dress up as logic, humility, or even piety. But underneath, it's still a story rooted in unworthiness, planted by voices that never knew me. I'm just being realistic, you say. I'm being responsible, you tell yourself. But the responsibility I gave you wasn't to manage fear. It was to steward truth. And what is truth? That you are not here to survive patterns. You are here to break them. You are not here to obey the voice of your wounds. You are here to silence them with the authority I already gave you. And yes, it will feel unnatural, because unnatural is what freedom feels like to someone who's lived a cage long enough to call it home. Let me speak to the depth of your programming. Let me reach into the bone of your soul, where that ancient lie still echoes. You are not enough. That lie didn't start with you. It was passed down like spiritual DNA, coated in silence, shame, and structure. And here's the dangerous part. You started to believe it was you. You started to build your life around it, even your dreams. That's why the success never felt satisfying. That's why peace always slips away, because it was built on top of false prophecy. My voice doesn't sound like shame. It doesn't sound like guilt. It doesn't sound like unrelenting pressure. If the voice inside you constantly tells you you're not doing enough, not becoming enough, not pleasing me enough, that is not my voice. That is the ghost of old patterns, still speaking from the basement of your soul. You've given those ghosts a microphone. It's time to unplug them. The deeper truth is this: the enemy doesn't need to destroy you. He just needs to keep you aligned with the wrong story. If he can keep you mentally loyal to a broken prophecy, then your own agreement will do the work for him. That's the power of covenant. What you agree with, you empower. What you continue to identify with, you continue to create. But here's the miracle you've overlooked. Every time you choose to believe me instead, even in your weakness, even in your confusion, you break the contract. You tear the invisible paper of your past. That's what faith really is. Not emotional certainty, but stubborn allegiance to the truth, even when the evidence looks the opposite. Let me speak plainly to you now. You are not the failure your father feared. You are not the fear your mother embodied. You are not the rejection you endured, or the silence that shaped you. You are not the product of trauma. You are the interruption of it. You are the redemption I planted in a bloodline that forgot how to hope. So what will you choose today? Another cycle or a new covenant? What does it look like to form a new covenant with your future instead of rehearsing contracts with your past? You'll find out in the next block. You want to form a new covenant? Then start here. Your mind must agree before your life can transform. That is the law I wrote into the fabric of creation. Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. But don't confuse renewal with repetition. You've repeated truths, but have you renewed your alignment? Have you rewritten the contract of your identity, or just underlined it with prettier words? The old prophecy, the curse, it was never just a thought. It was a structure, a mental architecture of fear, doubt, and survival. You didn't just believe lies. You built a life to house them. You created routines, relationships, even dreams around the scaffolding of that belief. And now that I've exposed the foundation, I'm inviting you to demolish the entire structure, not decorate it with spirituality. You must understand, there is no breakthrough without breakdown. You're asking me for resurrection while still protecting the tomb. But I cannot resurrect what you will not bury. So I ask again, will you let the false version of yourself die? Your false self is the one who performs for acceptance, the one who hustles for worth, the one who fears rest because it's never felt safe to be still. That self was built to survive in a world that didn't know who you truly were. But I do. And I didn't call you to survive. I called you to reign. The reign of the true self begins with disobedience, not to me, but to the patterns that pretended to protect you. When you start saying no to what no longer fits your calling, it will feel like loss. That's normal. Prophetic alignment always begins with subtraction. I prune the branches that bear fruit so they can bear more. Not everything you lose is a punishment. Some losses are pruning in disguise. So, how do you begin to rebuild on a new covenant? With intention, with stillness, with truth. Not shallow positivity, but deep recalibration. Sit with me. Let me show you where your inner vocabulary still speaks the language of fear. Let me change your inner narrator. Not the loud voice you speak out loud, but the quiet one you obey without question. You'll know you've entered the new covenant when peace becomes your compass, not chaos. When you stop needing to prove anything. When you finally trust that you're allowed to become what I already see. And here's what I see. I see royalty walking around in chains that don't belong to them. I see warriors trained by trauma now being trained by grace. I see you, my beloved, unlearning the survival you never needed in the first place. This is not just about healing. It's about inheritance. Because when you break the prophecy of pain, you don't just rewrite your life. You reroute the future of everyone connected to you. You become the pivot point in a family line that forgot who they were. You become the living proof that curses can be broken, that prophecy can be redeemed, that destiny is stronger than dysfunction. So I ask you again, not to shame you, but to wake you up. What structure are you still protecting that I'm trying to demolish? And once it falls, what kind of life can be built on holy ground? That's what we'll uncover in the next block. 210. Do you feel it? That sacred discomfort, the shaking of a life you no longer fit inside. That's not failure. That's the sound of your false prophecy collapsing. When I break what was built on fear, it often looks like chaos. But child, chaos is just construction with holy hands. I am not destroying you, I am freeing you. Because here's the truth. Every time you tried to fix yourself, you were actually reinforcing the lie. You weren't broken, you were bound. And the tools you used to cope were clever, even noble. Overthinking to stay safe, people-pleasing to avoid rejection, performing to feel worthy. But survival tools are not destiny tools. You can't build a temple with prison keys. I never asked you to be perfect. I asked you to be honest. And the most honest thing you can do right now is admit. I've been living under a name you never gave me. Names like failure, burden, too much, not enough. Those are the names written by trauma, not truth. But I gave you a different name before time began, and every act of healing is just remembering who you already are. Carl Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And I say to you now, it's time to stop calling trauma your identity. You are not what happened to you. You are what I called you to become. But hear me, remembering your name doesn't come through striving, it comes through surrender, through listening, through silence. You've been addicted to noise, chasing validation from voices that don't even speak my language. So I'm turning down the volume on the world so you can finally hear me clearly. My voice doesn't shame, it calls forth. My voice doesn't rush, it restores. You want to fulfill your destiny? Then start by leaving the stage of your own performance. Come down into the holy, quiet place where your soul doesn't have to pretend. Let your tears be prayers. Let your confusion be an offering. I can handle your questions. I'm not afraid of your anger. I'm the God who wrestled with Jacob all night and renamed him in the morning. So wrestle with me if you must. But don't walk away like nothing happened. Let this be the night your old prophecy breaks. Let this be the morning you walk with a limp and a new name. And when you finally accept that you were never meant to earn your worth, what do you think you'll discover about the life that's been waiting for you to stop running? That's where we're going next. 3/10.